When someone passes away, their property doesn't just vanish into thin air. Instead, it must be passed on to others, and that's where inheritance laws come into play. These laws, often referred to as succession laws, dictate how a deceased person's assets are distributed. Let's break it down into two main scenarios. First, we have the situation where there's a will. This is a legal document where the deceased clearly outlines who gets what. The will is typically followed through a process called probate, where the courts oversee the distribution of assets. An executor appointed by the will is responsible for paying off any debts and ensuring that the named beneficiaries receive their share. It's a structured process that aims to honor the deceased's wishes. Now, what happens if there's no will? This is known as dying intestate. In this case, state law takes the reins to determine who inherits the property. Generally, close family members, like spouses, children, or parents, are first in line. The court appoints an administrator to handle the distribution of assets according to these legal guidelines. This system exists to ensure that property transfers are fair and predictable, preventing disputes and ensuring that assets don't simply disappear. Now, let's clarify the terms heirs and beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are those specifically named in a will or other legal documents, like an insurance policy, who will receive property upon the owner's death. On the other hand, heirs are individuals entitled by law to inherit if there's no will. For instance, a father might name his two children as beneficiaries in his will. If he hadn't left a will, his children would still be considered heirs under intestate succession laws. But what if there's a disagreement about ownership? There are legal avenues to resolve these disputes. One option is negotiation or mediation, where parties can communicate directly or involve a neutral mediator to help reach an agreement. For example, neighbors might hire a mediator to settle a property line dispute amicably. If that doesn't work, arbitration is another route. Here, a neutral arbitrator makes a binding decision, similar to a private judge. And if all else fails, litigation is the last resort. This involves taking the matter to civil court, where a judge or jury hears the evidence and makes a final decision. While going to court can be costly and time-consuming, it's sometimes necessary to resolve ownership disputes. Now, let's touch on a unique concept: eminent domain. This is the government's power to take private property for public use, like building roads or schools. However, this power is limited. It must serve a genuine public purpose, not just private interests. Importantly, the law mandates that property owners receive just compensation, meaning they should be paid fair market value for what's taken. For instance, if a town needs to expand a road, it might use eminent domain to acquire part of a farmer's field. The farmer doesn't have a choice in the matter, but he must be compensated for the land taken for the public project. Eminent domain strikes a balance between allowing necessary public developments and protecting individual property rights through compensation and legal safeguards. Understanding these concepts is crucial as they shape how we navigate the complexities of property ownership and inheritance in our society.